This was the awesome 10th plague. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all of his servants, all of the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. We read this description of the plague of the firstborn in Exodus chapter 12, verse 30. The angel of the Lord passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. This was a violent blow to the Middle Kingdom, a blow from which the Egyptians never recovered, and brought to an end that glorious period in human history called the Egyptian human kingdom. The Israelites were more fortunate. This plague did not affect them in any way. But for the Israelites, it also meant something else. This was the night of Passover. This was the night that they were going to celebrate a great feast, which became a sadness for the Egyptians and a holiday for the Israelites. We have already discussed the impact and the import of this particular night, the purpose and place that the Seder played in this cosmic event, and in which the Israelite was taught how to draw and tap this awesome power. And that each year, when this conjunction of Aviv, Mars, and Aries all came together, this cosmic event of so many thousands of years ago was now going to provide those who knew how to tap this energy to establish a year-long cassette which would only play to the advantage of those who knew how to use this awesome power. While it appears that everything was going great, and the Israelites were now celebrating this great event of the Exodus, freedom, nevertheless, it comes as somewhat very strange that this awesome power of the night of Passover, the Seder, which with its software, which was to connect to this awesome power, was no longer to be considered a tradition, but it was for those who knew a timetable when this power became a cosmic reality. But let us explore what happened immediately following the 15th day of Nisan. Did this power last? Did it endure? No, says the Zohar, because there was no arousal from below. And as we have already discussed previously, that this power that came to the Jew, that caused the important exodus, freedom for the entire world, did not come about because of their doing, but rather this came about because the Lord saw that if he did not become a part of this exodus, meaning that if he did not participate and bring the force of the Lord into play and create the downfall of the Middle Kingdom, leaving it to the Jew himself would have meant disaster. They would never have been freed. They would have attained the 50th gate of the unclean system of the desire to receive for oneself alone. And freedom would never appear on the face of this earth. And so it was through the mercy of the Lord that the force of the Lord was brought into play, by which the cosmic event of the Exodus took place. What happened immediately afterwards, what happened immediately on the 16th day of Nisan, states the Zohar, this cosmic event, this cosmic reality, was short-lived. It did not continue. There was a sudden blackness that overtook and overran everything that became part of existence after the fall of the Middle Kingdom. The light disappeared. There was no positive energy whatsoever. There was instead din, judgment, which means there was a circuitry of non-existing energy of the force that made every effort to become revealed, to become manifest, but the vessel was not available. The vessel was not available. And therefore, the next 49 days, the day following Passover until the advent of the holiday of SHAVUOT, are considered to be Yemei Din, days of extreme negative activity, days that we are cautioned by the Kabbalist not to enter into any new venture, not to move into a new home, not to make any new move, because the beginning of any venture inevitably will draw and bring with it the supreme negative activity that became active within this framework of 49 days called Yemei HaSfirah, the days of counting. And this again, therefore, leads us into another section of the Coded Bible, dealing with another seemingly insignificant precept that for the most part isn't even observed by many Orthodox faithful. The counting of the Sphirah. The counting of the Sphirah. In Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15, it states, "And you shall count unto you from the morrow after the day of rest," meaning Passover, "from the day that you brought the sheaf of the waving. 7 weeks shall there be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th week shall you number 50 days. This refers to the time of the Sphirah. And so there is a custom and a tradition, irrespective of the fact that, for those of you listening to these tapes, know how I shy away from that word tradition. The Yemei Sphirah, the days of counting, are actually days of judgment, of din. days in which the biblical code provides us yet with another timetable concerning these days. Cosmically, what's really happening? And more importantly, is there anything that I can do to somehow deflect this extreme, and I repeat, in the words of the Zohar, extreme days of negative activity? Days in which brought the slaughter of 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva and many, many other stormy days for the world at large. For the student of Kabbalah, it's quite obvious why we're dealing with 49 days. At first glance, we're discussing 7 times 7, which is the only way 49 can be divided. And once we're touching upon the advent or an aspect of 7, we're dealing with the 7 sefirot, the 7 bottled up aspects of energy. Those 7 keys, which were part of the software of the Sedonite, by which to connect with and control cosmic influences. There are 49 days because there are 7 spheres which also have a subdivision, in this case, of 7. And therefore, each week, as we proceed from Passover to the holiday of Shavuot, we are dealing with the awakening of positive energy, the all-embracing unified whole, and making an attempt to fill these empty, bottled-up sources of energy. The 49 aspects of the totality of energy that the Jew sought to tap on the night of Passover now became void, empty of this energy, and it was now up to the Jew to reestablish that flow, that circuit of energy. And therefore, in most prayer books, unfortunately not in all, but in most prayer books, we will find the service, rather I would prefer to use the word software in place of service, by which we can reestablish every aspect of the energy that was lost immediately at the conclusion of the first day of Passover, and beginning with the first sefirah of Chesed, which is subdivided into 7 again, with that prayer that was established, we then can accomplish the 2 aspects that took place during the plague, the 10th plague, which was thwarting the dangerous negative energy that brought to an end the Middle Kingdom, and at the same time tap the positive energy that was available for us. I know what I've just said is a complete departure from the accepted version of what this counting of the Omer is all about, even to the extent that for some who claim that the reason we count is because we're awaiting a most intimate friend on the day of SHAVUOT, and so, you kind of count from the day of our liberation until the day we're going to receive the Torah, which is the culmination and fulfillment of our freedom. I can't really subscribe to that because the Bible is so full of the narrations and tales by which the Jew himself was not that pleased or even happy about leaving Egypt. There were the usual complaints about how things were great in Egypt and so forth. And I think we can only address ourselves to the understanding of the deeper implications of the cosmic events. And so these narration and tales are merely the code by which we can hope to achieve some insight into the broader sense of the cosmos and the universe at large. Actual counting of the Omer, for those who are not familiar with Hebrew, I must admit, is going to represent a very serious problem, because as my book on the alphabet will make quite clear, that the alphabet, the words that are made up of the alphabet, is a most vital aspect of the software by which we're going to make our communion and communication with the force of the Lord. And while reading a translation of the integral parts of our software takes you to a certain point, I must stress again that it is the Hebrew letters that make this very firm connection with cosmic intelligences, astral influences, and we must make use of the Hebrew letters and Hebrew words if we are to make the proper connection and tap the cosmic intelligences awaiting for us to draw them into our own being, and at the same time to take and come to grips with the negative cosmic intelligences that equally prevail throughout this universe. Holocausts, inquisitions, and the like are reminders of morbid reminders of this type of cosmic intelligence that absolutely prevails and exists and makes itself manifest on our very mundane level. So, for those who cannot read the Hebrew, I'm going to make it a point that in entering any Hebrew bookstore, where you can at least buy the very inexpensive, most inexpensive prayer book that would contain at least the counting of the Omer, and I know there are various, and I just haven't got the idea of which one would be most suitable at this point. But we, at the same time, along with the cassette, will be providing a photostat of what we're talking about. And for those of you who cannot read English at all, cannot read Hebrew at all, at least scan the Hebrew words, and scanning, as we know today, does make some connection. It's like, those little boxes on foodstuffs that we purchase, or any other purchase that can be registered just by having a computer scan that little box, and out comes your price. Without going into details, scanning is a method by which those who are totally unfamiliar with the reading of Hebrew can still make some form of a connection by scanning the words we're discussing at this point. Now, insofar as the blessing for the Sfirat Omer is concerned, again, I will give you a transliteration of the blessing by which you must pronounce the blessing in Hebrew to have the maximum effect. And again, this will be provided for in that sheet that will accompany these cassettes. The blessing is to be recited. Again, blessing for us means that a connection to metaphysical energy forces, whether it's blessing before the eating of a fruit or a vegetable. We recognize, as we do in the human body, as two separate entities: that which is the physical, the body, and that which is the metaphysical, the unseen reality of us. So, too, in every corporeal existence entity in this universe consists of two aspects, the physical and the metaphysical, and our goal here is to achieve a connection with the metaphysical reality, which is the 99% of the true reality of any existence, and make this connection by which we hope to accomplish two aspects. We hope to thwart the negative cosmic energy that prevails on the particular day, one day on the 49 days, and at the same time to make manifest and tap the positive energy of that particular day. And so we make the blessing, which is the usual blessing, which can be found in any transliteration of blessings, which is Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al Sefirat HaOmer. And then we make use of the particular day that we might be finding ourselves in at that point. If, for example, we're talking about the 16th day of the Omer, that will be Hayom Shisha Asar Yom Shehem Shnei Shavuot Ushnei Yamim La Omer. We must recite in Hebrew. That which notifies, and of course at the same time makes the connection to the hardware which contains this cosmic intelligence, positive and negative. That connection is made via the announcing of the particular date that we are addressing ourselves towards. And then we come to Psalm 67. After the recitation of the particular day, we come to Psalm 67, which, for its input, we have the first verse, Lamnatsea Binginot Mizmor Shir, which is the input, the opening, the connection to the hardware. And then from that point on, there are 7 verses, each containing 7 words, which correspond to the 7 weeks or 49 days that link Passover to the giving of the Torah on Shavuot that we mentioned previously. Each one of these verses, beginning with Elokim and ending with Aretz contain 49 days. Now, even those who are not familiar, we will choose and count that day, that word which is appropriate. That word which is appropriate for the particular sphera. And as you mention the word, for example, the second day is Yehanenu, favor us. Okay, Yehanenu. That would be the second day. Since the first week, the first frame of reference is called Hesed, and I will be discussing this a little more at length when we come to the aspect of the splitting of the Red Sea. The first week is called Hesed. The frame of reference is called Hesed, and therefore the first day, meaning the 16th day of Nisan, is the day in which the second day, the 16th day is the first, which is Hesed Shebe Hesed. The second day will be Gevurah Shebe Hesed. This must be mentioned. These Sfirot is the vital and pivot of this entire cosmic connection that we're making an attempt to tap these vital cosmic intelligences with. We must recite each day the Sfirah, because the Sfirah is actually the key words, the keyboard. We have 49 keys to this keyboard, and each day we will be pressing, meaning we will be uttering, we will declare that particular sphera. When we come to, as I said, the second day of Psalm 67, Yehanenu, again omitting the first verse as part of the 49 words, because the Lamnatseach Binginot Mizmor Shir merely is the input. It is preparing and making the connection between the hard disk and the software. Now, returning to the word Yehanenu, that would be the key for the second day, or the 17th day of Nisan, and we would be meditating, not declaring the word as yet, because that is part of a subsequent prayer. But here we would be meditating on the word Sphira of Gevurah Shebe Hesed. As we recite the word Yehanenu, we stop, we meditate on that word, and meditate on with the hope that we will tap only the positive energy of the Lord and thwart and deflect the negative energy that is prevalent on this particular day through the meditating of Hesed, Gevurah Shebe Hesed. I'll continue on to the verse within Psalm 67, which is Yismahu Virananu Leumim Ki Tishpot Amim Mishor Uliumim Baaretz Tanchem Selah. This particular verse is number 4 of Psalm 67, again excluding the first verse, which states, to him who grants victory, a psalm with instrumental music, a song, which is again the input and making the connection between our software and the hardware. Now, in this particular fourth verse, you will find 49 letters. And so, again, we will be meditating pertaining to the date that is appropriate. We will stop for a moment when we come to the 12th letter or the 18th letter, and we will make our appropriate connection. Again, as an example, the second letter referring to the second day of the Omer is Sin, from the word Yismehu. Sin. That means this letter is going to be the meditative vehicle, channel, by which we will connect Gevura Shebehesed, and again make that same meditation to tap the energy of this particular bottled up energy called Gevura Shebehesed, and at the same time thwart the negative aspect of this energy. And now we come to one of the most important Kabbalistic prayers that is incidentally used in our daily meditation for the purpose of tapping cosmic intelligences. And this is the prayer called Ana B'Koach, established by the sainted Tana, Rabbi Nehunya ben Hakana, which I describe in Kabbalah for the layman. And in this particular prayer, again meaning in this particular cosmic connection, we have 7 verses, and in each verse there are 6 words, which may seem strange to you as we are discussing the aspect of 49, and yet there are only 42 words. And here, some of the mysteries, to reveal, let's say, all of the mysteries would take considerably more than 7 tapes. And so we will have to satisfy ourselves by merely making the connection that is vital in achieving the objective that we set out with the counting of the Omer, and that is to thwart that extreme negative energy and to tap the force of the Lord by making use of the knowledge, the Kabbalistic knowledge contained within Rabbi Isaac Luria's Gates of Meditation. Each verse pertains to one aspect. The first 6 will always be the from Hesed to Yesod. From Hesed to Yesod. No matter what the framework is, if it's the first week, we are discussing the framework of Hesed, second week Gvura, third week Tiferet, fourth week Netzach, fifth week Hod, sixth week Yesod, and the 7th week Malchut. Now, how does Malchut come into the play in this prayer, since we only have 6 words? The answer states the Rabbi Isaac Luria in his Gates of Meditation. The 7th word is the totality of the first 6. In other words, if we were now coming to the 7th day of the counting of the Omer, which would be Malchut Shebehesed, because Hesed is the total frame of reference for that particular week. The first week is Hesed. Then Malchut Shebehesed would be the 7th day. Now, when we come to any of the Malchut, whether it's Malchut of Gevura or Malchut Shebemalchut, we would then meditate that particular day of the Sfirah and taking in the totality or the sum of its parts, which is called Malchut. In other words, the first day of the Sfirat Omer, we would be making use of the word Ana, meditating on Hesed Shebehesed. When we came to the word Ana, that would be our key word in making connections between the software, which is the Sfirah of Hesed Shebehesed, with the hard disk called the cosmic intelligence. When we came to Malhut of Hesed, which means we have already completed the 6 words of the first verse, Ana bekoach gidulat yiminha tatir tzirura. We would then, on the 7th day of the first week, 7th day meaning Malhut of Hesed, we would meditate on the entire 6 words, since Malhut indicates the sum total of all of its parts, of the 6 parts. That is Malhut. This is what we would be doing in each of the subsequent 7 verses. And when we came down to the final verse, in the frame of reference of Malhut, meaning the final week, meaning from 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, that would be dealing with the frame of reference of Malhut. When we came to the word Ta'alumot, which is the 42nd word, we would concentrate on the totality of Malhut, of the entire verse of Shavatenu Kabel Ushmat Sa'akatenu Yodea Ta'alumot, which deals with Malhut Shebe Malhut. That is immediately preceding the day of Shavuot. And again, we would not recite this verse, and we would not recite and declare this Fidah. We save this for the third leg, for the third aspect, for the third stage of this procedure by which we're connecting with cosmic intelligence. The first was Psalm 67. The second is the Ana B'Koach. And we now come to stage 3 of the county of the Omer, which begins with Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the Universe. And here it actually spells out in detail, making the connection with the final connection with this cosmic intelligence that we are tapping, and also enabling the thwarting of the negative consequences of this period of 49 days of, quote, mourning. We then come to, in the middle of the verse, in the middle of this paragraph, I should say, where it says, Shebeschut Sfirat Omer, Shesafati Hayom Yitukam Ma Shepagamti Bisfira. Therefore may it be your will, O Lord, the Lord of our fathers, that in the merit, Shebeschut, but actually the merit, what merit? What schut? Of Sfirat Omer. It doesn't mean schut, it comes from the word the purification of the Sfirat Omer, the purifying of this negative cosmic energy that prevails throughout these 49 days. Hopefully, that I counted today, may any defect I have caused be rectified. Bisfira. And when we come to the word Bisfira, it is then when we openly declare the Sfirah for that particular day. If it was the first day, it would be Hesed Shebe Hesed. If it was the 49th day of our recitation of this complete formation of software, keys, and hardware, and we would be dealing with Malhut Shebe Malhut. That is what we would declare and recite out loud, meditating again on those 2 vital words, Malhut Shebe Malhut, or whatever those 2 words might be on that particular day. Again, with the meditating of tapping the positive energy of this cosmic intelligence of that particular day and thwarting the negative energy that prevails on this particular day. Those of you, again, who do not read the Hebrew, when you read the verse in English that I just mentioned, you will then declare, after having scanned the entire stage 3, or stage of the Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the Universe, until you reach the point where it says in the Hebrew, Yutukan ma shepagamti bisfira. May any defect I have caused be rectified. You who do not know Hebrew shall declare in the Hebrew the particular frame of reference for the week along with its subdivision. In other words, if it's the first day, as I stated previously, you would say Hesed Shebeh, which means of that frame of reference called Hesed. The overall cosmic intelligent energy prevailing in this week would be Hesed. The first day would be Hesed of that day. The fourth day would be Netzah of that day. The 49th day would be the frame of reference, the totality of Mahut, plus that 49th day, which is also Mahut. So we would be declaring Mahut Shebe Malchut. And good luck to you whenever you choose this tape, and whenever you have been fortunate in coming in contact with this tape. That is the day you begin to count. You begin to count. Counting in Hebrew also means lispor, to connect with the sfirot, to become connected with cosmic intelligence, which are called sfirah, and which I have already explained in Kabbalah. For the layman, the word sfirah means a totality of bottled up energy, and therefore everything cosmically appears in the form of a sphere.